Well, hello there. My name is Dreamers, and welcome to today's episode. I'm really excited to talk about this particular subject with all of you. Hopefully you'll find it inspirational, if anything else. What's up to everybody in the chat? I'm going to come back and jump in the chat in a bit. I want to get the ball rolling on this right away. So today we're going to be talking about Tartaria. I don't know how many people are new to the concept of this civilization that's known as the Great Tartaria. A lot of people are looking it up right now. There's many different theories that are going around. I'm going to share mine with you. I'm going to share some of my insight and studies with you. This by no means is the ultimate authority or ultimate truth on the subject. I'm just sharing my perspective. So, what is Tartaria? Well, I'm going to bring up some pictures. I'm going to show a lot of different examples, and we're going to get into a deep etymological study. What does that mean? That means that we're going to study the word itself to try to grab some clues to figure out what it actually is, who these people actually were. I'm really excited about it. So, thanks for joining me today. I hope you get something out of today's video. No pressure to hit the like button, subscribe, any of that stuff. You do what you like to do. And I hope I just add a little value or a smile to your day. So let's check this out. So what's the story behind Tartaria, right? Well, some people, many people, like myself, have been studying the older things of the world, right? It seems like we've just forgotten our past completely, so we have to literally go to school just to be told what it was. That's not good enough for some of us. Some of us would like to go far beyond the reaches of what other people just hand to us on a silver platter. So, one moment. Sorry, I just drank a bunch of eggnog. So I want to be an eggnog connoisseur one day. Non-alcoholic eggnog too. I like the spicy stuff. Anyhow, let's jump into our study. Let me go ahead and pull up. Oh, you know what? I wanted to share that comment. Man, somebody left a comment. I forgot what it said. Where was it? Let me share this comment real quick. There it is. It was Ollie Gould, who says, I can't wait to discover the link between Tartarus and tartar sauce. They sound so similar, I almost sent my fish sticks to the underworld forever. I love that. I love all of you guys. You're so creative and fun to hang out with. You know what I think about every time I see the chat and I jump in here with all of you? Hold on, let me get that out of here. Here's how the chat looks in my mind. When I start my videos, it looks like this to me in my mind. Hi, can the chat come out and play? Chat, Dreamers is here. Oh, what? And then we all play. I love it. Anyways, let's use our imaginations and our intellect. Let's try to be a little balanced going forward. Let me bring up some visuals for you guys to check out because I learn best visually. Booyah. All right, cool. So here's some maps here. Let me go ahead and boom, I'll open this one in a new tab. Okay, so this is an example. You can see it sort of right behind me. Tartaria, right? Now, where is this? It's hard to say, okay? It's hard to say, but essentially this is right around, like northern China, Siberia, parts of Russia, and like sort of the northeastern parts of the continent of Asia, essentially, right? Now, like I said, many people have been looking into these old maps, and we found so many different anomalies when it comes to these old maps. Myself, I'm most particularly interested in the North Pole and the lands at the North Pole. 4 islands that are divided by 4 rivers with what seems to be a volcano right in the middle. That actually appeared on many of our ancient maps and on the first globe that was ever made. And I find that super interesting that it's not there today, and that it's not really discussed in mainstream academics that this entire landmass, not just this one, many of them, disappear from our mainstream maps, from academics altogether, and they just stop talking about it because it's not there. Sometimes when something's not there, that's the biggest clue you can have when researching or investigating. So let's check out what's not there. The great land of Tartaria. Now, let me start by saying what some other people have speculated. Many people speculate that this was once a great, huge civilization full of futuristic, advanced technology, with different types of people. But basically, it was destroyed. Some people think it was destroyed. Some people think it was wiped off the map, and that they just took it off the map entirely to try to have us forget about that great civilization. We don't hear a lot about it. The only time it really comes up in my studies, academically speaking, is whenever we're talking about like the wars between, I don't know, China, Mongolia, Russia, things like that. That's the only time it really ever comes up for me. So let's check it out, right? Here's another one. It's sometimes it's known as Grand Tartaria. Let's open up that one for you. Boom. Grand Tartaria. I watched this one YouTuber. His name's Static in the Attic. I don't really watch him all the time, but somebody told me to check out one of his videos about this particular subject, and he made a really good point saying that Grand Tartaria could be akin to basically saying the great wilderness or the great frontier, the unexplored lands, etc. And I like that idea. I really do. So I would like to take a look at this word. Now, first and foremost, I started off my truth research, I guess, in the area of Christianity and the Bible. Now, this is of particular interest to me, and it was at the time, being a pretty strong Christian and into the Bible. This word right here, Tartari, Grand Tartari, or Tartaria, right? Interesting. You see how it's spelled right there? T-A-R, T-A-R, and then I-E. The I-E part is essentially, you see that at the end of a lot of country names, or it's I-A, right? Yeah. We'll get to that later. But it's an interesting word. Why? Because it's in the Bible, and it literally talks about how these bad angels were sent down into the inner recesses of the hollow entrances to the earth, and they were locked up inside of the earth. They couldn't get out, right? Which I believe in. I believe that there are barriers, electromagnetic barriers, that keep people on our level from getting too far up or too far down, and vice versa. I believe it works just like that. But there's a place, biblically speaking, called Tartarus, right? Tartaria, Tartarus, etc. It's the strong Tartar. Us just means strong. Oz, us, variants of that means strong, essentially. So strong Tartar. What is that? Why do we call it Tartar? Let's jump right into this study real quick. Hey, congratulations to Anna Marie Chavez. Boom, Good Vibe Tribe for 3 months, and says good vibes your way. Thank you, I appreciate you. And she sent a little super chat sticker as well. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Anna. All right, now we're going to jump. Are you guys ready? Put your seatbelts on. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Hopefully, you'll be able to open up your minds, use your imaginations, and just take it with a grain of salt. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just offering my research and my studies as I walk my path with you guys. So let's check this out. First of all, let's start with the name. This is what I like to do. I like to start with the name and figure out exactly what it means. Let's go ahead and get rid of that here. The Tartars. Now, check this out. It says Tartaria, Tartar, like the word tar, like from a tree, you have tar or the tar pits, etc., right? This is very interesting, and it's going to make sense whenever we come all the way back around full circle. But as you can see here, the inhabitants of this land and the land itself was not actually originally called Tartar. It was Tat-ar. Do you see that? T-A-T and then R with an S at the end to pluralize it. So let's jump into etymology, the study of words and their origins, okay? So if you look up how the Tartar people, however you like to say it, the Tatar people, how they actually spelled their name. You can see right here the glyphs for a T, and an R. Here's another one, glyphs for a T, and an R, not TRTR. And please keep in mind that in the old languages, the further back you go, the less meaning vowels actually had, and the less you will actually see vowels. Vowels are empty fillers that were introduced into various languages in order to force a dialect upon a people so that that language would not be lost and forgotten. Because if you don't introduce those vowel points, they basically tell you what sort of an accent to say the consonants with. So that's a little bit on word origins and whatnot. But this is interesting, the Tatars. Now, let me explain something. Let's break this word down. In order to etymologically break this word down, I like to find the root. I like to go back to the roots. The roots are super important, especially with these types of words. So what's the root of Tatars? Well, the root is tat, T-A-T. That A, you pronounce that pretty much however you like. Any of the vowels will do. Most people would say ah, tat, or Tartar, or Tatar, but you can pronounce it in various ways. You can say Titar, Totar, however you'd like, Tutar. The vowels are basically interchangeable when you go back into the ancient languages, when you want to find the meaning of the word. So the root is tat. That's the actual word from the root of Tartar, right? The AR part right here is a suffix, and it's also in its own independent word. It gives a little flavor to the root. It gives a little more meaning to the root of the word. So the entire word is Tatar. Tatar. So, the Tatars. Interesting. So it's not Tartar. Some people speculate that the extra R was thrown in there to make it purposefully sound like Tartarus, the place of the underworld, down in Sheol, within the confines of the inner earth realm. Could be, because sometimes that's associated with scary stuff. And this civilization, right, this tribe of people, were kind of scary to people because they were so different. That's one of the main things that pops out to me. Let's move forward just a little bit here. So this right here is a map, a piece of a map of the North Pole. Remember how I was saying the North Pole used to be depicted with land there, not just icebergs and water and whatever. No, there's literally land at the North Pole, or at least there used to be. And it was depicted on many different maps, including a great mountain, or what I like to call the plasma volcano, directly in the middle of those four lands. Those four lands had four rivers shooting out from them, and around that, the first, or the original sea, moved about in a current, in a circle, and it fed the rest of the world, moving the oceans and whatnot, right? All right, let's see. All right, we're going to skip past that real quick. Oh, here's another image. This is Gerard Mercator. He's a map maker from a long time ago. As you can see in this self-portrait, I don't know if it's a self-portrait, but this portrait of him, he's got a globe right here where at the very top you can see there are four lands surrounding what looks like a mountain with a hole in the middle. Interesting. Thought I'd show you a couple of those things there. Here's another one. This is another map. I believe this is by Mercator, where he actually shows, if you could see along the top side, you would see the four lands up here separated by four rivers. He shows a top-down view right here, as you can see. Go ahead and get rid of that one. This is all going to make a lot of sense as we go, so take it with a grain of salt for now if you don't understand. Right behind me, you can see the four lands again at the middle where the North Pole is, and there's something right there in the middle. There's the four rivers. It sort of makes like a circle with an X, you could say. See that? Sort of, if you were to draw this as a symbol, you would draw a circle with an X in the middle, or a cross in the middle. Even better. Here's another map. This one is a heart-shaped map. There's various shapes of these maps and whatnot. I'm not saying that the world is a heart shape or that it's any shape whatsoever. All I'm saying is the middle of our local region that we call the world or earth or the realm, whatever you like to call it, the most important part that I'd like to focus on is that one right there in the middle, the heart of the world. It's our heart. And if you watch a lot of movies like I do, you'll notice that a lot of the characters are constantly trying to restore the heart to something, right? It starts with us. It starts right here. to restore the heart. We're going to actually come back to that concept later. Here's another map. This one's completely fictional. This is from The Wizard of Oz. Remember, Oz means strong or strength. The Emerald City, right there in the middle with what looks like a mountain in the middle, divided by these four, possibly, are there rivers? I can't tell if there's rivers, but there's four lands that are divided there. Interesting map from The Wizard of Oz. You'll also see that replicated in many different movies, on the video game Fortnite. I mean, it's all over the whole world. The X-Men. The X-Men symbol is literally a circle with the X in the middle, or the cross in the middle, exactly like in Catholicism, exactly like in many different religions, exactly like in so many petroglyphs. People drew this image, and it looks exactly like the land depicted at the North Pole. So let's talk about the origin. Let's go back to the origin of this word, tat. We'll come back to the North Pole in a minute too. So we're just trying to figure out the Tartars. Well, we figured out that it's not Tartar. It's actually Tatar, or Tator, I should say. That's really a little bit better of a pronunciation. Tator. Okay? So tat. We're going to focus on that root of the word right now. We'll come back to the or suffix in a minute. Tat. Let's check this out. Now, remember, it's basically two letters. We already looked at that. It's the T and the T. Whatever language you speak, it's a T and a T. That is the word, T, T. Those are the two letters, the two images that give us meaning for describing something. So, one could make the case that many of other words that sound exactly the same with the two T sounds are going to have a similar root, right? So let me give you a hint. The tat. Remember that circle that we looked at? Let me bust out this circle real quick here. Where'd it go? Where's my tat? Oh, I got rid of it. Ooh, did I get rid of it? Ah, I did. Okay, no worries. I'm going to pull this up real quick. This is super important. I'm typing in Tet, Hebrew, Paleo. Boom. So the Paleo-Hebrew language is akin to the ancient Phoenician or phonetic language. It's where we get the word phonetics from. And this right here, this X with a circle in it, is the letter Tet. Now check this out. Tet is how you pronounce it in more of a cowboy dialect here in America. Okay? America. But it's not pronounced with a hard T. It's more of a TH sound. This is also the theta in the Greek language, theta, right? So the tet is actually thet or theth, however you like to pronounce it, but it's more of a TH sound than it is a T sound. They have another letter T towards the end of their alphabet, or their alphabet, and that one is more of a hard T sound, okay? But this one is more of a TH sound, and it's a circle with an X right in the middle, just like at the North Pole, right? It means, it's the letter Tet. It's the 9th letter of the Phoenician or ancient Hebrew alphabet, or alphabet, and therefore it represents the number 9. Interesting. So if you come across the number 9 a lot, right, and you wonder what the number 9 represents symbolically, you can go back to the roots of where the number 9 came from and what it was drawn as, which is this. Now, if you look over here, you can see it says the pictograph for the tet looks like a snake coiled inside of a basket. Not to me. That doesn't look like a snake coiled inside of anything to me. I mean, I'm just saying. However, the concept or the image of a snake is strongly associated with this particular glyph for some reason, right? I believe, personally, because this glyph represents the land at the North Pole. It represents the top of our world. And that is the garden, the original Garden of Eden. It's the place where the fruits of the world first grew. It's the place where the snake lived in the Bible, in paradise with Adam and Eve and stuff, right? I believe that the snake is plasma. Okay, we've talked about that many times, and I believe that there is a mountain in the middle of the world, or a great tree that shoots up from the middle of the world in the form of plasma. But let's get back to the tet. It says the pictograph for a tet looks like a snake coiled inside of a basket, whereas the classical Hebrew script is constructed blah 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 blah. Oh, it's I don't want to get into that right now. So basically, there's 3 things that the tet represents traditionally. 1, a basket. 2, a basket that carries food, I should say, specifically. Okay, a food basket. And then it also means to surround as well, right? To be surrounded or to surround something, right? If you look at these ancient and old maps, let's see, where's a good one? If you can, well, basically, if you look at some of the Mercator ones of the North Pole, you'll see that those four lands at the North Pole are actually a valley collectively. They're a huge valley, and they're surrounded by mountains, by a huge circular mountain range. So that's where I get the surrounded portion of that. Let's go back to that glyph real quick. Where was it? There it is. Okay, so this is the letter tet, the two T's, tet, tit, tot, however you like to pronounce it. This glyph right here represents that. All right, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. That's creepy. I won't say that again. Let's see what else we got here. So, tot, right? Remember, it's pronounced th, actually. This is the exact same word, tot. You can pronounce it in many various ways, right? There's variants to these things. But these are where they come from. Thoth is this world-renowned god, and mostly known in the Egyptian religion and culture. It says, Thoth, an ancient Egyptian god of wisdom and magic, hieroglyphics, and the reckoning of time. From the Latin Greek Thoth, from Egyptian Tehuti. Ooh, my goodness, look at this word right here. Ooh, okay, this is a good breadcrumb. Tehuti. So what they're saying is that Tehuti, I'm just going to say it according to like normal cowboy speech that we sort of talk, right? But it's not really pronounced that way. But Tehuti is the same as saying Thoth. It's the exact same word. Usually represented as a human figure with the head of an ibis. Not a human, but a human figure. With the head of an ibis. By the Greeks, he was assimilated to their Hermes. Hermes. Interesting. So Hermes is the exact same as Thoth, which is the exact same as Tat. Interesting. What does Hermes mean? I could tell you right now. Har means mountain or great hill. Mes or mes or mesh means from the water. Mountain out of the water is literally what Hermes means. Something to think about. Let's see what else we got here. How about the word thought? Many people have made the correlation between Thoth, the god of wisdom, one of the things he's the god of, and the word thought. Thought. It's the exact same word, right? Now check this out. This is something interesting. Here's some food for thought. The word thought is the same as the word think, right? The word think comes from thankt. When you thank somebody, you are literally considering them. You're thinking of them. You are thankful or thinkful. You're considerate of them. You think about them. Somebody does something for you and it makes you think of them. So you say, I think you. I think of you. I thank you. That's where that comes from. We also have, the Tuatha De Danann. Tuatha De Danann. What is that? Some people may have come across this in your research. May not have. They're not as popular as, say, the Greek gods and the Roman gods and the Egyptian gods. This is more Gaelic or Celtic, Irish type mythology going back to their beginnings. But check this out. Tuatha De Danann. Danann is the name of a particular god or goddess. De means God, like Opus Dei. The word Dei literally means God. What is this? We have a T and a T again. Tuatha. Tuatha. Interesting. What was that other one that we just learned about, right? Let's go back here. Let me get rid of this one right here. Let's see. Tehuti, remember? Thoth, another word for Thoth or Tat is Tahuti. Tahuti. They just put an I at the end of it. It's a suffix, essentially. Tehuti is the same as Tuatha. Exact same. So what does Tuatha mean? Well, let's check it out. Tuatha De means tribe of the gods. So it means tribe. Tuatha means tribe. Let's see if we can get some more witnesses to this to establish it. Let's move forward. Oh, check this out. This is a pretty good book, actually. What is this? It's called Race and History, and there's various chapters about the Tartars. And see how it's spelled right next to my head right here? Tatar, not Tartar. However, Tartar is fully acceptable, and I'm going to teach you guys why. But let's keep on the Tat, okay? Another famous Tat is King Tut, or Tut, as we would say in our cowboy accent that we have here in America. King Tut. Well, his name is not just Tut, okay? It's Tot or Thoth, right? Tot. His name is Tot-Ankh-Amen. Tutankhamen. Tutankhamen, if you're a cowboy. Right? So Tot, one, the tat at the beginning of his name. Ankh, the symbol for life. Amen, missing. Interesting. Did you know that King Tut actually wasn't born with that name? No, it's named after his father, Akhenaten. Ankh-Naten, right? Ankhenaten. So his name was actually Tut-Ankh-Aten. Tutankhaten. So in cowboy language, if he would have kept that language, his name today would be Tutankhaten instead of Tutankhamen. Whatever, however you like to pronounce it. It's very interesting to me, the name of King Tut and what he was named after, right? This is called the Amarna period. Let's check this out real quick. It says the Amarna period was an era of Egyptian history during the later half of the 18th dynasty, when the royal residence of the pharaoh and his queen was shifted to Akhenaten in what is now Amarna. It's marked by the reign. Hold on one sec. Let me go to Akhenaten real quick. Let me just check out Akhenaten real quick, okay? This is King Tut's dad. You may have seen him on shows such as Ancient Aliens a million times. So, Akhenaten. What does his name mean? Let's check it out. Effective for the Aten. What is Aten? Well, let's go back a bit. I'll just explain to you. Aten means sun. It's the god of the sun disk, essentially. So they replaced the sun disk god, or giving honor to the sun, essentially, the disk of the sun in the sky, as they saw it. And King Tut was named after that sun disk. But he was like, no, that's not going to be my name. My name is going to be the missing life force. Tot, Tat, the missing life force. Thoth, the missing life force. The Tat, the missing Tat. Interesting. Okay. You may also know, I might as well throw this out there, but Akhenaten was known for getting rid of all of the various gods of their Egyptian religion and establishing one, which, according to his name, was the disk of the sun god, right? King Tut came around. He's like, no. My dad's gone. I'm only 8 years old, so I'm just gonna reestablish the way things were. That's way easier. I don't know. I'm just paraphrasing. But let's go ahead and move forward a little bit here. Oh, this is pretty interesting too. How do you say mountain in various languages? Some of the words for the word mountain stick out to me, like dag. Do you see that right there? That's the word dog, or dag, like a Dagwood sandwich, right? Dag means mountain. What else do we have here? We've got dag shows up a few times, but there was a really interesting one here towards the bottom. You see the Vietnamese? Nui. Like Montanui. Mont literally means mountain as well. Montanui is redundant. It means mountain, or mountain of the mountains. The great mountain. Montanui. Interesting. Where does that come from? That comes from Moana. From Disney's Moana. Just a little breadcrumb there for you. Montanui. Now let's go back to the Tat. So many different words have the Tat in them, and they're very common words like tattoo, right? Tatooine, if you're a Star Wars fan. Tatukane, right? How do you say, or what does tutu mean in the Hawaiian language? Tutu is the exact same thing, okay? It's tat with an u at the end. Tutukane, the word kane essentially is kohen, or priest, right? leader. Tutukane, kane pronounced kane, means male or man in Hawaiian. Tutuwahine means female or woman. Well, this is super interesting to me that first they both have the word tutu in there, or tat in there. And then they have one word which means priest and another word that means essentially beautiful. Remember how we studied those pillars, the rod god and the pillar symbolism? Well, one of those pillars was named Joaquin or Joachim or Joaquin, or however you like to say it in the cowboy way. It's Joaquin, right? There's many different ways to pronounce it. Like Joaquin Phoenix, that's totally the exact same name. What else do we got here? Check this out. Let's look at some cuneiform. I don't really talk about cuneiform a lot on my channel. I'm always learning, though. So I want to share something with you I learned in the cuneiform. The T for the tat, right? The letter T is this glyph right here. Let me see if I can make that bigger for you. See that glyph? This one right here. Boom. Now, if you make it plural, the letter T, you just add another T to it, and it's titi. Well, that's super interesting because in cuneiform, titi means rib, and it's not plural. Isn't that? It doesn't say ribs, it just says rib. Interesting. This is the word tat in cuneiform, one of the oldest languages in the world, and it means rib, but it also means arrow. Arrow. Remember how we were talking about in our column worshiping and our pillar worshiping video, the rod god, how we were talking about how that blue beam that shoots up from Mount Meru is seen as an attachment. It's seen as a hook or a tent peg, something that connects and goes into the earth, like a staff, a beam, a reed, a rod, an arrow. That's what we're talking about, and that's how you draw it right there. So, an arrow or a rib. That's interesting because there's a story about somebody making a person out of a rib. Theta or theta. The theta is essentially this exact same symbol, but without one of the lines. Okay? It's the exact same symbol. It's the tat, but it's in Greek. Okay? Now check this out. Whenever we transliterate this, or whatever the word is, from the Phoenician to the Greek, it looks like, can you see it there? It says derived from the Phoenician letter tet, with a little X with the circle. You see that right there? Boom, X with the circle, little X-Men symbol. I believe it's the X-Men symbol because the people that go to the North Pole are closer to the blue beam and therefore stronger in power that they get from that electromagnetic energy, etc. There's all kinds of backstory to that, but we'll talk about that another time. In the system of the Greek numerals, it has the value of 9. Interesting. It's also, the theta was used as a warning, a caution. It also, by extension, meant death. And it's just a circle with a line through it. Kind of like, oh, Deadpool. That's literally Deadpool's symbol is the theta or the tat. Deadpool is an immortal. Deadpool can't die, and he's represented by the color red. Super interesting. So if you're just now joining us, we're talking about the origin, the etymology of the word Tartar, or the Tartars, or the Tatars, the Tartarian Empire. Who are these people? The civilization of the Tatars. Check this out. The theta is also used right behind me. See that right there? In math. In math, it represents an angle to a plane. A plane as in a flat surface. An angle. Like, I don't know, a volcano, a mountain, etc. It's symbolized by the theta or the tat or the tet. Interesting. Wow, we're getting some places with this, right? It's all about to come together. Another tet word is that. Remember how we looked at the ancient cuneiform script and the glyphs that said that it literally means arrow? That is this. It's an arrow. It points. It directs somebody. That's what the word that means. It's literally an arrow, and it's the word tet, essentially. I thought that was pretty interesting. We also have Teutonic, right? If you've looked into ancient cultures, you'll come across the Teutonic people. Teutonic, let's see. Let me go ahead and just read this. From the 1610s, of or pertaining to the Germanic languages, so this is ancient German peoples, and to the people or tribes who speak or spoke them. from the Latin Teutonicus, from Teutonis, Teutoni. Hold on one sec. I'm super sorry. The name of the tribe that inhabited coastal Germany near the mouth of the Elbe and devastated Gaul back in 113 BCE, blah, 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 probably from the Celtic and Proto-Germanic word Dudanos, and from the Proto-Indo-European root. When you see that pi, all capitalized, means Proto-Indo-European. That's super old language. And it's tuta, which means no way. Look at that. Make that big. Can we make that bigger, please? Tribe. Tot. Tet. Remember we were looking for another witness to that to the other word? Tehuti? Where is it? Make that smaller. Jesus, right there. Tehuti. Where's the other one? Tuatha, Tehuti, and then we've also got, oh, no, we're not there yet. Tuatha, Tehuti, we're not there yet. Where are we? Oh, Tuta, the Proto-Indo-European root. It means tribe. So, by extension, we can assume that the word tet, tot, thot, however you like to pronounce it, the root of it essentially conveys family. It conveys a group of people. It conveys a tribe. It conveys a civilization. It conveys whatever other words that mean the same thing, right? Pardon me. All right. So interesting. Let's check that out again. Teutonic, right? Forget about the onic part. Just look at the root. Tut, right? Tot, like King Tut, Tutankhamun, however you like to pronounce that. There's also the Grand Tetons, which is an amazing place. I've been there a few times. Mountain range. Now, the story, I never liked the story of the Grand Tetons. You know what they'll literally tell you if you go up to this national park? If you say, hey, what are the Grand Teton mountain ranges named after? They'll say big titties. I'm not even lying. Which is interesting because tat or tit or tit or whatever, or titi is actually literally, in many different languages, how you describe certain genitalia from male and females. I kid you not, right? It doesn't make it bad or grotesque or perverse or anything. It's just that these words changed over time. What does it mean? It means something protruding at an angle. Same thing as the theta, right? Just like this mountain range. Some people would say it just means big boobies, and that's how they see it. And in a way, they're sort of correct in that they're angled to the plane or the earth, etc., right? But it also could mean the great Teutonic people, the great family, the great tribe, the great gathering. That's what also this could mean too, by extension. So we've talked about the root of the tat, the Tatar, right? Let's talk about the ar. We talked about tat, the tat-ar. Remember, tat is the root, ar is the suffix, or or, you could say. Or, or, ar in ancient languages essentially conveys the meaning of light, fire, and wind. Either of those. It could mean they're all very much interrelated at times. So we go to the word ora, which is just or, essentially. As you can see right here, it's from the Proto-Indo-European root or, like tartar, tartar, same thing. And that comes from ver, or where, however you like to say that. And that means to raise, to lift, to hold suspended. This is so interesting. So if we go with the root, tat means essentially tribe, just like you guys, the good vibe tribe. And this is so important. Can't even tell you how important that is. So tat conveys the word tribe. Or conveys to hold suspended, to lift up, to raise up. Now, you could come up with all sorts of ideas by extension of what this means. I'll give you a couple of my own ideas. One is that the tat-or are the tribe of people, the group of people who were once lifted up or went up to the top of the world, essentially, the North Pole. It could also be the ones who, by extension, are survivors, okay? They're the ones who are praiseworthy. They're the ones who were lifted up, congratulated, essentially, right? The tribe that is to be congratulated. For what? For surviving. That's one of my ideas, at the very least. Let's check out another word that has the root tat. and the suffix or. Tut or, tutor, tutor. Tutor. What's a tutor? A guardian, a custodian. It also means a watcher. Tutus, tueri, to watch over, to look at. What are they watching? Now, I know a lot of people who have studied in religions and various cultures, going back to alternative history and fringe history. You might think of the watchers, the angels that were watching over mankind and sort of there to be guardians and guides and whatnot, right? Hey, that's definitely one. I've been there myself. But what if, when speaking of humans or people who are like us, right? What if they're called or referred to as the Watchers? What if they are survivors of the plasma apocalypse? They're a great tribe, a great family, and they're called Watchers. What are they watching? Are they watching the other humans? Possibly. The next step for me is to go back to the word we started with. Remember, today they're not called Tatars. They're called Tartars. The word tar, twice in a row. So we need to look this up. Why do we call them Tartars? I'm sure you guys are familiar with the word tar, right? Tar, like comes from a tree, comes from the ground. There's tar. It's just sticky, viscous liquid stuff. And it says here, a viscous liquid. That kind of means like sort of semi-slippery. Old English, tioru or teru. Teru. Where have I heard that before? Teru, teru. Tar, bitumen, resin, or gum. Literally the pitch of certain kinds of trees. The word tar is directly related to the word tree. It's actually from the Proto-Germanic teru, right? Terra. Well, that's interesting. Terra. Don't we call Earth terra? We say terraform. You're talking about forming the earth. Terra, right? Teru. The Middle Dutch tar, tir. Let's see. And then from the Proto-Indo-European root, deru. You see that T letter sounds a lot like the D letter. So oftentimes, they changed over time. So instead of teru, it was deru. Deru means essentially firm, solid, and steadfast, with specialized senses, wood and tree. Interesting. Wood and tree. Let me see what else we got here. I want to talk about the word teru a bit more. Let's see if I can find... I made the page too big, so now I'm all out of place. Let's see, what do we got? Let's see. Teru, 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 deru, 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 deru. I'm just going to type in deru, see what it does. Boom. Let's see what happens. Does it have it? Deru, there it is. Cool. Derivatives referring to objects made of wood. So essentially, this deru, this is where we get our word for tree. Okay, teru, teri, teri, all those words essentially mean tree. Okay. Now, check this out. We're about to make an interesting connection, right? Wow, look at all these words that are related to the word tree. That blows my mind. The Sanskrit word Drew, like Drew Carey, same thing. If your name is Drew, it means tree. Drew means tree or wood. Daru, wood, log, and timber. The Greek diris, oak. Drimos, copse, thicket. Doru, beam of a beam or a shaft of a spear. Wow, interesting. The Old Church Slavonic, drevo, which means tree or wood. Serbian, drevo, which means tree. Drva, wood. Russian, drevo, means tree or wood. You get the point, right? I could go on and on and on. This doesn't even stop. So, where did we get this from? We got it from the word tar. So tar, we just established in the root, in the old language, means tree. It literally means tree. But it's Tartar. Why would they be so redundant and say Tartar? Tree? And this is what they're calling the people. The civilization is called tree. It's redundant. Or is it? It's repeated twice for emphasis. You know what that's called when people repeat the same word twice? It's called tautology. I kid you not. It's the exact same word. Tautology. Repetition of the same word, essentially, right? I believe that this is done to give emphasis. It's the tree of the trees, right? Just like Monte Nui is the mountain of the mountains, the great mountain. So the tree of trees, the tree of all trees, is the world tree. And that, Tartar, is exactly what these people were named after. There's a tribe, a lost tribe, named after a world tree, a tribe that no longer exists, a civilization that's been dispersed and scattered to the four winds. Does this sound familiar to some of you? Because it does to me. I may have heard this story a time or two. So, what am I getting at? This right here, we'll just use this image of the top down from the North Pole on a modern day map or whatever. As you can see, around the North Pole, we've got Russia directly next to it. We've got Canada, the northern United States, and then we've got, Greenland and the island parts of Europe. Interesting. If there is a great mountain or a world tree, or once was a world tree, at the middle of this land, and there was a tribe of people who lived nearby in this middle land where there used to be land, four lands, with a great mountain right there in the middle. Well, let me remind you, remember when we were studying the Native American stories and we read about the Zuni? And the Zuni were talking about how they, a long time ago, their people sought out the middle of the world. They knew it was a safe place. They knew it was a place of refuge when all the rest of the world was in chaos. They went to the middle. They made a pilgrimage to the middle of the world. They explored, what do you call that? Sabbatical? I mean, whatever you want to call it. The Zuni said that as a group, all together, from time to time, they would seek out the middle of the world for refuge. And they would camp there and stay there while the whole rest of the world seemed to be in chaos. I believe that this story and many others like it are referring to the survivors of the plasma apocalypse. Occasionally, our world goes through an apocalyptic state where it's in turmoil, utter turmoil, and the only safe place, or the safest place, was deemed to be at the center of the world. Interesting. It's kind of like, if you're surfing and there's a lot of turmoil in the form of waves up above, you dip down underneath those waves and allow them to pass. Same concept, right? The Zuni knew this. They talked about how their people went to the middle, stayed there until everything was fine, and then they left. They went all the way around. They started in Rosha. You know what the word Rosha means? It comes from Rosh or Reish, which means the top, the head, the top of something. That's why they're called Russia. They're towards the top. They're originally from the top of the world, right? This is why so many of the Native Americans have these legends that sound so similar to one another, because they come from a tribe or a part of the tribe that broke off and they went another direction. They came down into Canada, Alaska. They became the Inuit. Remember? Nui Mountain? Inuit. The Inuit, or the Eskimos, however you like to say that. So, here's the theory. Here's my theory thus far. I propose that the Tartar civilization of the Great Tartaria, right, is directly related to this area at the North Pole that was once on all of the maps, many of the maps, I should say, that I've seen. And this is also coinciding with an inner Earth entrance that has also been described. The hollow Earth entrance, many of these different things, right? So let's see, what else do we have? Tar. Remember the tree? The letter A, or the Aleph, or the Alpha, implies strong. So if you have a strong tree and it's yours, the way you would say that is literally Atari. It's Atari. That's how you would say that. Atari, I find that hilarious because Atari is a video game system. Let's look at a picture of their symbol. Where's the images? Boom. Atari. Now, let me tell you what this symbol is. You may have seen this a million times and you're like, well, I wonder why they drew it like that. Like, what is that a picture of? That's the plasma volcano with the blue beam shooting straight up the middle. It's a strong tree. It's the world tree, essentially. Remember, this is not all truth or anything. It's not all absolutes. I believe that everyone who presents things and shares information or whatever, they have a percentage of it that's like, boom, right on the money. Speaking of being on right on the money, by the way, let me go back to that Atari symbol real quick, because I want to read the definition of Atari for you. Where'd it go? Oh, I got to pull it back up, I guess. All right, Atari meaning. Check this out. The name Atari comes from the Japanese term atari, used while playing the ancient Japanese board game. The word ataru means to hit a target. I kid you not. Why is this important to me? Like I said, I started off my journey in Christianity, studying the Bible and stuff. And if you read what the word sin means, essentially like, to do something bad, right? A bad action, a selfish action. Sin conveys the word picture of missing the bullseye, missing the target, right? The target, if our world is that target, this is the bullseye. This is the middle. The closer you are to this, the closer you are to goodness, righteousness, purity, truth. The further away from this you get, technically, according to symbolism, the more sinful the world becomes. It misses the bullseye. Interesting, isn't it? Oh, man. Yeah, that's the end of my presentation. I don't think I missed anything. Let's just go ahead and do a quick review. We've got the Tartars from Great Tartaria, also related to Tartarus, right? Now, somebody mentioned tartar sauce at the beginning, and I do want to take that comment seriously, even though it's super funny. Hold on. Let me get rid of this real quick. There we go. All right, so Tartar, the word Tartar, if you look up the etymology of Tartar, it literally means like sort of a muddy substance, like a thick liquid. Like when you have tartar built up on your teeth, it's sort of a crusty, liquidy type material, or you could say mud, right? Tartar is related to being muddy liquid, essentially. Thick liquid that has, maybe something hard mixed into it, sort of shake-like or mud-like, right? That's why it's called tartar sauce. The sauce itself is liquidy, but it's got little lumps and stuff inside of it, right? Tartarus in the Bible is a place of the underworld, or the inner world, the inside of the earth, which is said to have an entrance. The earth entrance is at the North Pole, like the back door of the world, how we talked about in the native cultures. So Tartar is almost like saying mud, essentially. So the people who are associating Tartaria with mud floods, I don't think they're too far off on that. I definitely think that there's a connection, but I also believe that they might be the people of the mud. Whenever they came down and they spread out, then the world may have been very muddy, because when the plasma apocalypse happens, there's a lot of shaking, and it brings the water up to the top, and it liquefies our land. It's called liquefaction, and it turns our world into sort of a swampy, muddy world for a time, right? Now, some people may have been thinking about the lost tribes of Israel, the lost tribe of God, and whatnot. I believe, right? For example, let's think of the story of Jesus being born. When Jesus was born, let's just pretend like Jesus is actually represented by the blue beam that shoots up from the middle of the world. That blue beam is the light of the world. In a time when the world went dark, and when people survive and they come out of their apocalyptic scenario and the world's calming down, they look and they see a great light in the sky, and the wise follow it and they go towards it. And it's a place of refuge. It's a place of peace. It's a place, the closer you are to this energetic influx shooting up out of our world and filling our world, the more amplified your energy becomes. So many people, the wise of the world, follow this light. They go towards it. They make a trek, a journey, out towards that light, right? They stay there. They're filled. They're filled with wisdom. That's the god of wisdom, or the goddess of wisdom. Depends on how you look at it and which stories you're reading. these people stay there and they want to stay as close to this source of energy as possible because it's blowing their minds, it's changing their bodies, it's helping them to become better physically, mentally, and spiritually. But then one day, it dies. One day it retreats back down into the inner recesses of our world. It goes down into Sheol, into the grave, into Hades, and it stays there and it disappears. And therefore, there's no real good reason. Remember, these tribal members have been procreating for years and years and years, and they're getting more and more and more and bigger, and all of a sudden, the main reason they're there is now gone. They spread out. They adventure. They go explore the rest of the world. Now, the rest of the world, who did not go to that middle island, right, in the middle of the world, they're just the rest of the survivors, right? They've been going on life as normal, or normal for them, and now they're going to see all this huge groups and groups of brand new people, a whole civilization just moving through. And just like we read in the story between the Zuni and the other survivors, the Zuni came out from the middle of the world and they were greeted by these other survivors. And the Zuni were like, "Who are you?" They're like, "Oh, we're the chosen ones of God." "No, you're not. We're the chosen ones of God. We all survived the apocalypse, so we must be chosen," or whatever. So that is how I see Tartaria and the Tartars, those of the Tet, those from the middle of the world. Essentially, they go to the middle. While the beam is there, they stay, that they relish in the life they live by the holy mountain. And then whenever that light disappears and we go through another reversal of our world's electromagnetic polarity, that light recedes, it goes back into the underworld, and they spread out. They go, they explore, they search out new life and new civilizations. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. What do you guys think? I've not been in the chat this whole time. Let's go ahead and jump into the chat. Let me see if I can catch up here. Let's see. Anything in the chat from me? Thank you, Nikos. Very kind. Let's see what else we got here. Bestoic Primer says, they say if you truly understand something, you can easily explain it to a child, so they understand. Well said. You know what? That actually reminds me of something. I want to say one more thing before we wrap up. This is probably the most important part. So for those of you who've held in there, thank you, JPA. This is the core, okay? Knowledge is just knowledge. Knowledge is just information. Knowledge itself is inert. It's useless by itself. So, what's the important part about whatever knowledge I may have imparted with you guys today? Whatever knowledge I may have left, if any. The important part is that there is a lost tribe, a lost family. Those who have spread out and have been exploring for so long that they've forgotten where they came from. They've forgotten their origins. But they all share a commonality. They all dream of one day returning to a place where they can be with family. They all dream of returning to a place where others are like-minded. Now, check this out. The inhabitants in the civilization of Tartaria, they're not known to be of one particular race whatsoever. They were mixed people from all over the world, different nationalities, different races. All of them mixed. They went down a little lower from Tartaria and established Mongolia. Do you know what Mongol means? It literally means mixed. It was a mixed civilization. These are all of the world's survivors that came together in one place to prosper. That's why I love you guys so much. I hope that you can relate to this because I can. That's why I was really excited to do this presentation. You are the Tartars. Possibly. We are the Tartars. We are Tartaria. We are those of the Tat. Sometimes you might even get tatted as a mark. Oh, the Tet also means mark. So to tattoo literally means to mark yourself, right? Means a mark. Interesting, right? All right, let's jump back into the chat. We got Spirit Love in the chat. What's up, Spirit Love? Says, J Dreamers, the biblical story of God taking a rib from Adam to make Eve, the womb man. I think the rib is from DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. It could be. It very well could be. I see where you're coming from. I could see that. So I wondered, like, did he take the DNA from an actual rib? Or, like, just hair? Like a quick, easy little, you know what I mean? Who else do we got? We got JPA 1988, who says, J Dreamers, do you have any videos on how plasma affects the body, like how people will gain abilities from this event? Yes, I do. Check out my Plasma Apocalypse playlist, and there's a whole bunch of different ones in there all about that subject. Lost in the Moonlight says, J Dreamers, any thoughts on how Thor could relate to this? Absolutely. Tor, tar, tree. That's the beam that goes up and hits the dome and spreads out and makes a little hammer or a pickaxe or a cross or a crucifix or whatever you want to say. That is Thor. That is the weapon that destroys the serpents from above who invade our world from time to time. Thor. Good question. Tor, the Taurus, the tar, the tree, essentially. What else we got here? Shayna Love's in the chat and says, fabulous presentation, Jay. I love the way that you connected all the info. Another connection is that tete, or tete, means head in French. Ooh, that's right. De la tête, right? That's right. Tête means head. Just like roche means head, or resh means head. That is an interesting connection. Good one. I like you. You guys are amazing, man. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate your donation. Let's see. We've got TNRC in the chat who says, J Dreamers, according to the Hun Federation of the 108 tribes, the Tartars were one tribe. Interesting. I believe it. Just like us, we're one tribe. The Good Vibe Tribe. You know, I didn't give anyone that name. Like, the Good Vibe Tribe named itself. So that's not something I even came up with. I don't think so. I don't remember. Stephanie Campbell says, vibes are high. I agree. Who created the domes? Everyone always wants to know that. Who created the moon? Who created the domes? Bob. Bob created them, just so you know. Like, if I told you who created them and you have no idea who that is, would it matter? You know what I mean? Good question, though. The Rorschach mind test. Not sure what you mean by that. Mahes says, J Dreamers, hey, great presentation. Could the Tartar maybe originate from Tartarus, the underworld? Yeah, absolutely. I think they're totally connected. Tartar means tree of trees, right? That's why it's called the underworld, because if you follow the tree down into the roots of our world, you go into the world, you go inside of the world. See, here's the thing. I know a lot of you guys are a little new, and I'm going to do a Plasma Apocalypse 101. Hopefully at least once a week. That way we can get down to the basics of what is the plasma apocalypse and maybe some fringe theories about alternative cosmology and whatnot. Lisa Tully says, I have to watch this from the beginning. Wow, Jay, you have come so far over the years. I always enjoy your input and subjects. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate you. Oh, also, if you ever watch my channel from your phone and you tap on my little icon, it has what's called stories, right? And from time to time, I'll just upload something funny or interesting or whatever. It only stays there for like 24 hours and then it disappears, I think. Maybe a week, I don't know. But I did some impressions of some of my favorite YouTubers that I actually like and watch from time to time. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I'm not doing that to make fun of them or put them down whatsoever. Because I did get a couple comments where people are like, you know, they felt like maybe I was doing it like to make myself look better than them or something, but I didn't. I like to goof around sometimes and have a good time, and that's something that I would do with my friends as well. So I take that with a grain of salt. I do hear you guys, but it's not something I'm doing bad or anything. Like, it's something I'm actually doing to show you and promote those channels and say, hey, these are the channels that I watch, you know, let me try to do my impression of them. Sometimes it's fun. Lisa Tully. Aw, thanks for the flowers and the heart. Oh, right. I did an impression of John Levi. That's right. So basically I did my impression of like, Suspicious Observers, John Levi, the Impossible Channel, New Earth. I can't remember all the different ones, but I also did the Hobson twins or whatever. So Hodgson twins. Anyways, I did all kinds of different impersonations, and they crack me up and make me smile. Let's go back to the chat. I want to hang out with you guys a bit more here. We got screen name 229. I think screen name 229 called in one time, didn't you? J Dreamers, or maybe Tartarus. Top Taurus, the top of the Taurus. Oh, that's interesting. Good point. Good point. So you actually just reminded me of something. So if you don't break, if you don't make the root tar, but you make it tart, it's tart or. Tart means twisted, right? Twisting, spiral. It literally means that. Go look it up and you'll corroborate it. Boom. It means spiral. Okay. Spiraling, and then or aura, light or wind. Spiraling wind, just like in the middle of the North Pole at those four lands. Every ancient myth I've ever come across that talks about when people describe going into that island with the four lands in the middle, they always say that there is a constant storm, a constant wind. The ocean itself is constantly a current and going around in a circle. So is the wind, so is the air, so there's a constant storm there. So tart means twisting, and or means wind, the twisting wind, or the northern twisting wind, or the aurora borealis, or the hyperborea, essentially. Let's see here. Nikos Rose says, Jay, where is it? No idea what you're talking about. We got Spirit Love, who says, J Dreamers, Tartar, us, like tarot, rota, Torah, Taurus field. Yes, so the Taurus, I totally, is totally related. Let's see, it's a related word. We got Loanis, who says, what about the Rus name for red? Oh, that's a good connection too, right? The red world, the red sky coming from the north, etc. That definitely ties in. It reminds me of the Imagine Dragons songs, where that one, what's that song that they sing? Welcome to the new age. Oh, Radioactive, right? They said, we'll paint it red and fit right in. Whoa. Let's see here. Pardon me. Nikos Rose says, the video of the impersonation. Listen, guys, if you want me to follow whatever you're trying to tell me, you need to speak in complete sentences, because I'm not in the chat. I'm not reading and keeping up with all the stuff that everyone's saying. I'm literally like reading one sentence at a time, and I can't keep that string from the last thing you said to the new thing that you said. So I need you to help me out and just try your hardest to use a complete sentence if you actually want me to answer your question. I'm not trying to sound rude or anything. I'm trying to help you to help me. Twod Wozel says, J Dreamers, where is this story collection you're speaking of? I'm on Android. I don't see it in your playlist. I don't know what you're talking about. The story collection? If you're talking about the Plasma Apocalypse, there's a whole playlist called the Plasma Apocalypse. So you just click on that, and there's millions of videos right there. Or you can go to my website too, jdreamers.com. Let's see here. Skiddly-diddly-doo. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, I try really hard to keep my stuff organized for you guys so you can find stuff easily, but it's not super easy because, one, I'm just a guy. I'm just one person doing it by myself. It's a lot of work. Two, I'm constantly adding to my own collection, so that collection gets bigger and bigger and bigger, so I can understand why it might be difficult for you guys to find certain topics after a while. I'm going to do my best to work on that and make it easier for you, I promise. But for now, you're going to have to fish. You're going to have to go fishing. You're going to have to go look for it, essentially. Let's see. Who else we got here? Let's see. Skiddle-little. Where are we? Anything else? Does anyone else in the chat have anything? Let me see. Did I miss anything? Nope. I think that was pretty much it. All right. Well, hey. I want to throw this out there before we roll the credits. I'm so inspired. I was inspired. I was inspired this morning. I'm inspired by so many people. Many of you out there. But today I was inspired by Mr. Rogers. There's many people that have inspired me throughout my life and childhood. LeVar Burton, Reading Rainbow, was one of them. All of the people who encouraged me to think outside the box and bask in my uniqueness and not to feel bad because I'm different really encouraged me and chiseled me into the person that I am today. So before we leave today, I want to sing you guys a little song, and it goes like this. It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside. And when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy today. It's such a good feeling. A very good feeling. The feeling you know that I'll be back when the day is through. And I'll have more ideas for you. And you'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too. Until next time, I'm Jay Dreamers, saying good vibes and goodbye.
I'll try so hard to fade away. I'll try so hard to fade away. But something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh, but there's something holding on in the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. I know I should have done this, should have quit this long ago. Can't stand another heartbreak, but it's time to let it go. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh, but there's something holding on in the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up.
Oh, hi. Are you still watching? Well, good. Excellent. I thought I'd share just a little extra with you. I used to do a series called The Sylvan Lining. And the Sylvan Lining was an inspirational message that I would give really to hear myself talk and to pump myself up and encourage myself by encouraging all of you. And I've decided I'm going to bring that back pretty soon here. hopefully before the new year. I'm pretty excited about it because I like to focus on the good stuff, and we're the Good Vibe Tribe. And a lot of people have requested that I bring that series back. So keep your eyes out